Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video.
I thought I would never hear from my mom again after she kicked me out of the house when I was just 16. But after all these years, I've come across something that has just changed my perspective on everything. My dad passed away when I was just 4 years old. I barely remember anything about him, so the only parent I've ever known is my mom. She was not the perfect parent, to say the least. She went out with a new guy every other week, came home really late, and often left me with neighbors because she couldn't afford a babysitter. She worked in a restaurant, and I spent a huge part of my childhood just hanging around there doing my homework, playing with my dolls, or whatever. That was just something normal for me, and I never even questioned it until I grew a bit older and her reckless behavior started to look as problematic as it was. When I was 15, my mom came home with this guy who looked very different from all the other men I had seen with her. Usually, she went out with pathetic deadbeat men who literally looked like losers. This guy was just different. He was well dressed and well groomed. He also looked older than most of the guys she had gone out with before. He came home and took a look around our tiny apartment. I had a room the size of a literal closet at the time, and my mom's room was only slightly better than that. We had a tiny kitchen that was also the hall and a bathroom. He took a look in each room and declared to my mom that we can come with him and left. Confusion would be an understatement. I asked my mom what on earth was going on. She told me that she was marrying that man, and so he was going to be my stepfather. She told me that we were moving out to his place and I'm supposed to be on my best behavior at all times and not to do anything to make him upset. I was just creeped out, actually. I didn't like the guy for some reason, and she had never talked about marriage with any of the guys she had dated before, so it was weird to see her act this way. I told her how I felt, and she told me I'm too young to understand these things, and that he's the best thing that's ever happened to us. I never got a good feeling about this. There was no wedding. They got married in a courthouse. The entire time we were there, Mom kept saying our problems are over now to me. After the ceremony, we took our bags and moved to his house. It was a huge place, and I had an actual room for myself for the first time. But I began to notice weird things from the very first day. For starters, at dinner, he was served first, while my mom and I just sat there. Only after he was done eating, my mom served me food and told me to eat. There were also other things that I began to notice. For starters, he literally never spoke to me, not once. Also, one night when I couldn't sleep, I decided to walk around the house. I saw my mom leave their bedroom and sleep in the spare bedroom at around 3 a.m. The next morning, when I asked her about it, she told me not to snoop around. I saw this happen multiple times because I was sort of a night owl and often slept very late. Oh, I guess I didn't mention the fact that my mom had absolutely begged me to dye my hair back brown. I had bright green hair before the wedding. The color obviously began to fade eventually, and my crazy bleached hair was beginning to show. I barely noticed it. One night at the dinner table, I was fidgeting while he ate and dropped a spoon. He looked at me right away and noticed the hair, I guess. He immediately told my mom that he will not entertain such things in his house after all he has done for her. My mom honestly looked terrified. She apologized again and again and told me that she'll take care of it. That night, she came to my room after dinner and told me to pack my bags. I was really confused and asked if we were going somewhere. My mom told me that I can't live there anymore. She handed me around $100 and told me I have to leave before breakfast. That was 7 a.m. the next morning. I was obviously really upset and I yelled at her. I asked her if she was drunk. I asked her if she was crazy and I begged her to be reasonable. But her answer wouldn't change. She said I was not welcome there anymore and I had to leave. After a night of utter confusion, anger, and just being terrified, I left the house at 6:30 in the morning with a backpack and one other bag with me. That was almost 16 years ago. I won't go into a lot of details about what I did next or how I survived homelessness as a teenager, but you can probably imagine how awful things were. 16 years later, I'm a high school teacher. I have a daughter of my own. When she was born 6 years ago, I tried to reach out to my mom and called her old number. She picked up, surprisingly. I told her she has a granddaughter now and that I'm a teacher. She told me to never call again. That hurt me a lot. I genuinely thought we could turn over a new leaf. I had also never stopped feeling uneasy about what happened and wanted closure. But her reaction made me hate her. Since then, I've had no contact with my mom over the years. After hating her for all these years, I never thought that something could change my mind. But last night, I got an email that changed my life. So I got a random call from someone. It was an unknown number, and I picked it up because sometimes parents call me to speak about the kids. It was a woman on the other side, and she asked if she was speaking to me, and I said yes. She told me if Julia was my mom, and I said yes. She then told me that I have to forgive my mom if I haven't already. I said that was none of her business, and then she told me to read what she had emailed me before saying anything. I checked my email, and there was an attachment. It was a very long document, around 40 pages. The email came with a warning that the content can be disturbing and that I should brace myself. I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do. It's just sitting there on my computer and I'm too scared to open it. Everyone has been so curious about my post. I read through as many replies as possible and finally decided to open it. I could see that it was some sort of a terms and conditions document, but could hardly understand what it was at first glance. But then my mom's name on the page caught my eye. I started reading carefully, and you guys won't believe what I saw. It was an argument between my mom and dad where he agreed to let me and my mom live with him, provided she followed a highly detailed set of behavior. The agreement also said that he would take care of my mom's debts and pay for my high school education. There were pages after pages of conditions. It covered everything from what mom would wear and where she would sleep. Now I remember seeing her quietly moving into the guest bedroom every night. It even had conditions about what I am allowed to do or not. I had to keep only natural hair colors, not speak directly to him, not date any boys, maintain perfect grades in school, and all that. I haven't even mentioned the scariest things. The contract said that my mom had to bear 2 children and even specified the weight she had to maintain before, during, and after her pregnancies. This part literally sent chills down my spine. Who was this psycho? That was 3 days ago, and I've been in an incredibly disturbed state of mind. I can't focus on work. I can't stop thinking about my mom. I don't even have her number or know where she's living right now. I thought about reaching out to the woman who called me, but I'm just too scared that she'll somehow lead me back to him. I reached out to the woman. Guess what? She's just a girl, only 15 years old. She introduced herself as Alice and says she is my half-sister. My mom was pregnant when she kicked me out, I guess. I asked her how she got a hold of the document and what on earth it even means, because to me, it's straight out of some dystopia. Alice said she'll explain everything and asked me to meet her. I'm really busy this week, and even though my curiosity is killing me, I can't meet her before the weekend. My nerves are all over the place. I didn't even know I had a half sister. I never expected to see or hear anything about my mom after all this time. I can't wait to get answers to all my questions. I'll definitely leave an update for you guys. I met Alice. The things she has said have changed me forever. As I thought, my mom was really pregnant when she kicked me up. She had 4 children with that man, including Alice. One was Alice, the other was a son who was born 6 years later, and just a year after that, she had twins, a boy and a girl. Alice was apparently never treated well by her dad. He was expecting a boy, and well, you can imagine how things turned out when he was disappointed. He barely acknowledged her and made my mom homeschool her instead of sending her to an actual school. The kid has been through a lot. I asked her about my mom, our mom. She said mom always lived in fear of her dad, always doing whatever he told her to do. They barely had any conversations in the house until the boy was born. I don't know what weird stuff is going on. When Alice was 13, Mom broke down once and told her about me. She told her that she had to kick me out to protect my future, but wouldn't explain how. After that, Alice basically made it her mission to find out what happened to me. She knew that she could probably find some clues in the office that her dad kept locked at all times and waited for an opportunity to get in. Around a year of trying, she finally found the door unlocked one day. Her dad had gone out to walk the dog, and she knew that she had to be quick. She rummaged through the drawers and found the contract that she sent me. But that's not it. Apparently, there were more such documents that mentioned other women as well. She didn't have time to go through all of them and hurriedly took pictures of the one with Mom's name. That night, she showed it to Mom, and she was absolutely terrified. She told Alice that she had to leave before her dad noticed anything and made her leave almost exactly like she made me leave all those years ago. She told her to find me and told her the name of the school I worked at. I really don't know how to process any of this information. Alice is staying with me for now until we figure this whole thing out. Any help or advice would be appreciated. OP, your mom needs help. That guy seems like some sort of sicko. Since you're an adult now, I think you should try to reach out to your mom and help her in any way you can. Whatever contract your stepdad made your mom sign seems terrifying. I think he used your mom's vulnerable position to force her into being a baby-making machine. Reach out to her, sending you strength. Reading this gave me chills. As someone who was in an abusive relationship, it's clear that your mom is being emotionally manipulated. She signed up for this to get out of a desperate solution, but unfortunately fell into something worse. I'm proud of Alice for being so strong and smart as she is just 16. Take care, you guys. If possible, help your mom. If not, look out for yourself. I'm 36, male. My wife, 33, female, lost her first husband several years ago from a brain aneurysm. They had 2 boys together, 7 and 6, and I have made my peace with the fact that she will always love him. She even has a sort of shrine to him in our home, and I would never ask her to remove it. We got married only a couple of years ago, and last Thanksgiving, she asked me to come with her to Thanksgiving at her former in-laws' house. Apparently, she's gone to their house for Thanksgiving since her first husband died. I support this as it's a way for her to stay connected to her first husband's family, and also since it's a way for her 2 kids to maintain a relationship with their father's side of the family. So I went last year. It was a little uncomfortable, but her late husband's family treated me really well. They were very kind and welcoming to me. It wasn't a bad Thanksgiving, but it was still really awkward and I felt very out of place. This year, my wife is trying to get me to go back, but I just want to go have Thanksgiving with my own family. I've invited her along, but also told her that I understand if she doesn't want to go, but that we should be moving forward. But if she doesn't want to, fine. But that she shouldn't try to make me go to Thanksgiving at her late husband's family's home. She's responded that we can have Christmas, Easter, the 4th of July, etc., with either her family or my family, but that she's pledged Thanksgiving to her late husband's family, and that I should come with her as her husband to support her. I don't want to. I think it's weird and morbid. AITA? NAH. But would it help to reframe it as having Thanksgiving with your children's grandparents? She has said they won't see their grandparents Christmas, etc., in the same way, so this is one holiday they get to spend with them. She will always love her first husband, but she will love you too, as will your children. It's nice of your wife to take the boys to see their father's family on Thanksgiving. It's a lovely tradition to keep up, but if it makes you uncomfortable, you can choose not to go. But I think it's a bit of a low call to call them her late husband's family when they're actually her children's family, and it's important for them to keep that connection up. And your and her family do get every other holiday all through the year. YTA for thinking it weird or morbid for your stepchildren to spend time with their dad's family for Thanksgiving. Get out of your head about the late husband and realize you took on the two children with extended family and they get a full family visit once a year. You focusing on it being about the late husband rather than your stepchildren's family and supporting that relationship is your issue. Due to the kids, this is never something they should move on from. This is always going to be their family, and if you were not going to support that, you shouldn't have married someone with children. My son's school releases some annual merch for the different houses, and it's an extra cost that we have to pay cash to pre-order. I gave my son $50 to get the hoodie, and the change would be his to do whatever. That day, my son came back and told us his wallet had disappeared from his bag. I gave him more money just for the hoodie, and we reported the missing wallet to the school, but nothing turned up. On Monday, I was waiting to pick up my son when this lady came and introduced herself as Bob's mother. She handed me my son's wallet. It has his name on it, and apologized and said she found it in Bob's room, and he confessed that he'd stolen the wallet to pay for his own hoodie, since she couldn't afford it, and gave the change to her as the money he found on the street. She reimbursed me half and promised to give the rest at a later stage, but I told her to just keep it. The money wasn't the problem. It was the disrespect of digging through someone else's shit with the intention to steal. I was raised to own up to my shit and apologize directly myself, not to hide behind my mother's skirt, so I asked where Bob was. She went and brought the kid over and he started apologizing. I stopped him and told him that he didn't steal from me, so he was apologizing to the wrong person. We waited a few minutes until my son came out with his friends. He restarted his apology, but you could barely hear anything from the softness and stuttering, so I told him we couldn't hear and that he should speak up. He raised his voice, but all he said was sorry. My son asked what he was sorry for, and Bob went quiet. So again, I jumped in again to tell him we had to get back home, so he should hurry up. Bob started tearing up, so his mother explained everything to my son and apologized again. He accepted it, and we went our separate ways. When we got home, I naturally told my wife, and she scolded me for intimidating and embarrassing the boy. He's 13. in front of his peers just for wanting to fit in. The merch isn't something that everyone gets, so I don't get the whole fitting in narrative that strong, as if he'd stand out when that's frankly not the case. I wasn't overly mad or shouting at him, but I see how I could be an a-hole, so AITA? Soft YTA. You're right to ask for an apology from the person who actually did the stealing, but you should have let that apology occur in private, without the other boys around. Your need to defend your son maybe led you into being a bit too aggressive in the situation. The boy's apology to your son could have been a letter, it could have been a one-to-one conversation, but the family circumstances are private and probably a great source of shame for them both. Hence the son's behavior, not wanting to ask his mom or the school for help. Certainly, I'd suggest you make it up by not chasing her to repay you, and maybe apologize to the boy for embarrassing him. That'll maybe help him learn how men take responsibility when they screw up, even unintentionally. I'm going to say NTA. Not really. The kid's mother should have been saying exactly what you said. My daughter stole once. I brought her back into the store, made her go up to the cashier and return it, a candy bar, and apologize. She definitely learned her lesson and still remembers it even now. YTA. From the way you describe it, that child was clearly trying to apologize and you were bullying the way he did it. Kids are still learning, and that includes learning how to give apologies. Most adults I know suck at giving apologies. You don't bully a better apology out of someone by snapping at them. That makes it even harder for them to actually apologize. Don't interrupt while he's apologizing. When he has said his piece, address whether there's something else he needs to add. Don't stop him in the middle. Owning up to what you did is scary. This kid is allowed to be scared while giving his apology. That doesn't make the apology any less sincere.